Sumatra, Indonesia, is currently facing what is easily the deadliest flood and landslide disaster in its recent history. Relentless rains, driven by a cyclone, have caused hillsides to collapse, effectively turning the valleys into deadly funnels of mud and rushing water. The scale of this tragedy is heartbreaking, with more than 1,000 people confirmed dead and entire communities fighting just to survive. In both northern and western Sumatra, rivers have swollen to levels that go beyond living memory. Channels that usually carry calm, brown water were suddenly raging, choked with uprooted trees, debris from shattered roofs, and remnants of washed-away farmland. Up in the highlands, the soil became so saturated that it simply lost its grip. We are seeing entire hillsides shear away, transforming the valleys below into corridors filled with rock, timber, and wreckage. In North Sumatra, districts like Central, North, and South Tapanuli, as well as Sabalga and Mandaling Natal, saw their landscapes completely redrawn in a matter of hours. Roads have either vanished under deep floodwaters or disappeared entirely beneath massive landslides. Crucial travel routes across the interior, specifically the links between Taratung and Sabalga and Taratung and Padang Sidempuan, are totally paralyzed. This has effectively turned towns into isolated islands, cutting them off from essential deliveries of fuel, food, and medicine.
Terjebak kami di atas lantai rumah orang itu yang pinggir jalan itu, mereka semaknya. Nunggu tim SAR kami dijemput.
Over in the west, West Sumatra took a brutal hit from the mountains, specifically in the Agam Regency. Torrents of water roared down slopes that had been stripped bare, overwhelming villages and tragically killing nearly 200 people. There was also a massive landslide right at the entrance to Padang Panjang that buried cars and commuters without any warning. The infrastructure just couldn't hold up. Mountain roads buckled, retaining walls gave way, and familiar turns in the road turned into dead ends blocked by rock and mud. Further north in Aceh, the flooding spread out across massive areas. We're talking about low-lying communities along the rivers in Aceh Tamiang, North Aceh, East Aceh, Pidijaya, and several other regions. People saw their homes swallowed up by water literally to the rooftop level. It's estimated that more than half of Aceh's villages felt the impact as that water and mud moved from the upland forests, tearing through farms before dumping into the crowded plains. The human toll here is just staggering. Indonesia's disaster agency is reporting at least 1,090 deaths spread across Aceh, North Sumatra, and West Sumatra. On top of that, more than 7,000 people are injured, and 186 are still missing as desperate families continue to search riverbanks and rubble for their loved ones. To put this in perspective, this is officially the country's deadliest disaster since the Sulawesi earthquake and tsunami back in 2018. And behind those grim statistics is a massive crisis of displacement. Over 1 million people have been forced out of their homes, and at least 3.3 million people have been directly affected by this catastrophe. It's hard to imagine, but for so many, everyday life has just stopped. We're talking about houses wrecked, jobs on hold, and essential services like water and power completely cut off. Makeshift shelters in schools, mosques, and public halls are now packed with families whose entire existence has been narrowed down to sleeping on floor mats and waiting in long lines just to get a sip of clean water. The physical scars stretch all across these provinces. Reports are coming in of more than 140,000 homes and public buildings either damaged or totally destroyed. The financial toll is astronomical, estimated at over $4 billion. Infrastructure has taken a massive beating, too. You see bridges twisted up in riverbeds and transmission towers that have just collapsed. Entire neighborhoods are literally tilting on the soft, waterlogged ground, with walls cracking after sitting in standing water for days. As the full scale of this nightmare became clear, the national response kicked into high gear. Indonesia's disaster agency, the military, and local emergency crews are all out there. They've deployed boats, aircraft, and engineering units across the region. Transport planes are dropping food and medicine into the most isolated zones, while ground teams are working around the clock to clear roads and fix bridges so relief convoys can finally reach the people who need help the most.
Ya Allah, Pak. Banjir gede. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah.
The government has promised funds for reconstruction and temporary housing for the tens of thousands of displaced families. But they are also being realistic, warning that recovery in the hardest-hit districts could take many months. The cost of rebuilding is going to be in the billions, and that is going to severely test regional budgets, insurance systems, and the resilience of small business owners who are already under so much strain. This catastrophe has shattered homes, livelihoods, and landscapes all the way from Aceh to West Sumatra. But one thing it hasn't broken is the determination of the people who are still standing. Whether they are in shelters, on muddy streets, or in makeshift town hall meetings, people are already imagining a safer future. Stronger hillsides, better protected forests, and sturdier homes. These floods and landslides have written a chapter of deep loss, for sure. But it is also a story of resilience, unity, and a firm resolve to rebuild a future that isn't quite as fragile as what was lost. If you found this report useful, please like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for ongoing coverage of the powerful weather events shaping our world.